once again, you know, when are you coming home? And then I said, you know, Ma, you know where I'm at? And I told her where I was at, and she knew the place right away. And all of a sudden her whole thing changed, and she thought that the Virgin Mary was guiding me now. And you know, she believed it 100% because she almost was encouraging me now to finish it off, you know, which I thought I would have never heard in a million years. You know, she thought that Virgin Mary was going to guide me right to Ottawa, and you know, that and everything was okay. So when I finished this, you know, I can't tell you, I mean, what it just did for us and for the cause that we were doing, but also to my mom. Like it just, you know, and she got the heart attack in October, so that was just a couple of months afterwards.
How old was she when she died?
69. So, and you know, I actually, that morning, or that, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, she was getting up out of bed, and she collapsed and hit her head on the bedpost. And I heard my dad, you know, yelling, you know, screaming. I ran upstairs, and I started giving her mouth to mouth, and you know, I thought I lost her right there. The ambulance came, and when she arrived in the hospital, they got her breathing back, but they said she wasn't going to, she was going to stay in a coma. And I went through the most painful 2 months of my whole life, because I stayed by her side because I just couldn't believe that I was going to lose her and she was going to stay in that coma. And she did come out of the coma, but it just, you know, she would get better and get worse. You know, anybody that's experienced,
especially at that age.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, our hopes would get up high that she'd be back at home pretty soon, and then the next day would turn for the worse. And we went through some grueling months there with the whole family. Like, it was just so painful. But you know what I was doing then, so was, you know, she could never talk because she had to rely on the
respirator, whatever.
Yeah. And I, you know, every day, like, I was still working on putting this project together because I wanted to do a walk right across Canada. And right across to Canada, you know, and I was giving her all these things that were going to happen. And she passed away in February, and actually it was January. And we held the service at the church, at St. Clair's Church. Yeah. And you know, that's another part of the whole thing. Like, there's so many of my relatives that and friends that got buried, that we held the funeral at Jarrett's, you know, and then held the service. Yeah. So, and you never think that, you know, your mom or dad's gonna be there, but you know, and so at the church service, I went to talk, and you know, I wanted to acknowledge the service at church, and that was fantastic. We had every business person come out there, and what I said was that I was going to complete this walk across Canada in her memory up there.
This was in January.
This was in January of '98, or 98.
Not this year, but last year.
My years are getting mixed up.
Me too, I know what you mean.
It was 97 I finished the walk. 98.
So it was just a few months after.
You know what? A year feels like 10 years. Like,
I know.
I've done so much things.
Yeah, I remember your mom, because it's interesting that you should relate this story, because I remember your mother was a very, she was always worried about her children and always very involved in their lives and always, you know, fretting almost, you know, like, and she was always very, I mean, of course, Italian mothers are like that, generally speaking, but I remember your mother, she was very, very passionate person that way.
Yeah.
And she must have thought, you know, it must have been really a proud moment for her, you know, because I know that you were kind of a special son of hers, from what I remember.
Yeah, because I probably brought the most worry to my mom,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and that's why I don't know how to describe like some of the things that were happening in my life in the last dozen years. Just brought her so much happiness, you know, like it just and I mean that's what it was all about for me, you know, like to see her because she was such a hard-working lady, you know, and just like most Italian moms, you're right, they just have this thing with the children that no matter how old they get, like, you know, my mom would still phone me when I was married to make sure that the covers were on me, you know what I mean? Like that.
She probably thought you were pulling a fast one on her when you were telling her, "Mom, I'm in Ottawa. I'm doing this walk." She probably thought you were pulling a fast one on her. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and this is why I'm saying like to you know to see my mom happy, like there's nothing in the world that can you know. So the mission that I was on was, of course, it became like almost like a dual role, like I was doing it in memory of my mom, but also I was thanking the family that made that decision.
And you still have, you don't, it's because of the way the law is written right now, you don't know who donated your liver, right?
No, I don't. And the only way of contact is through a screened letter that you can write to the donor family. And I'm hoping to change that, you know, and I think we're headed in that direction, especially after work.
Why is it a matter of such secrecy?
Well, most of these things were done, you know, guidelines were done about 20, 25 years ago, when the scenario at that point was that people weren't sure how long you were going to live after a transplant, and you know how what a lot of people were used to or were feeling the perception of that the heart transplant survived to 6 months, the liver you know, we
Yes,
heard,
I remember that.
Yeah, we heard all those stories. So we weren't sure how long the people. So I think at that point is when they made these guidelines, you know, that it could be just a screen letter. Also, you know, we were kind of evolving into transplantation. You know, we weren't sure back at that time that we were going to have. I mean, they were hoping, but they weren't sure that they were going to have success stories like myself and many other recipients to not only get their life extended and back, but a healthy life back. So you were feeling the same way that you were feeling before you got sick, because there's so many people that, you know, that go for transplants that have been sick for many
Yes,
years.
I know. It's the body rebelled, or in the articles that you sent about how, you know, within a month or 12 days, I can't remember how long, but you were very active right away. You were feeling like a breath of, like life had been breathed into your body once again. What does it feel like to have that? I can only assume that there were like moments where you thought, oh my God, you know, like, you know, just when is this gonna seize up on me?
You're right. You're absolutely right, because the nature of any transplant at the time that I got in, that was 4 years ago, was that roughly it was about 40% of the people that were surviving it at that point. And you know, each hour, not each day, or sometimes each minute, the doctors would come and look and see where each